It's wrong. I'm not playing fast and loose with you, dear, but that would have to be defined. Well, if that's what you're saying, I say it's wrong, yes.
Why?
Yeah.
Why do you think?
Well, I think because all people, by and large, are pretty much the same. I don't know what else to say. Do I think that some races have their goofballs as well as whites? Yeah, I do. But I just don't accept everybody to say, well, that's nice because they're black or they're yellow, individuals. Go ahead. I know that could probably confuse you with that. Yeah, I really believe that.
Why?
I think because they're closer to, in some cases, the sophistication level of some groups are less. Their backgrounds, they've sprung from a different type of thing. Does that make them any worse as human beings? No. But I think, yeah, like for instance, yeah, I do believe black athletes. And I think because they have to try harder. I mean, that's the way it's going to be for them. Yeah.
Why?
Well, because if you don't, then you're not using your brain. I mean, I don't judge, like I said, I don't judge out of hand everybody simply because they're Chinese or they're black or they're white or anything like that. But yeah, I know I'm confusing you, aren't I? I just don't answer one at ABC. You're not using your brain, not using your brain. I think so, yes. Yeah, I would probably say yes to that.
Why?
Well, because you don't judge anybody unless you find out what they are about, and a group of people may be the same way. I don't know. I know that's confusing. I am sorry. Yeah, I think that's very important if they have the time to do it. You can't explore everybody, but I mean, yeah, I think that's a wise thing. Yeah, I think so.
Do people in this country try to make an effort to explore the cultural differences of those around them?
They probably don't, and I think the reason they don't is because they're just too busy. I mean, it takes a while.
That's
So
it.
I'd say, is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. I hope I haven't confused you.
That was really.
It's the bald man's turn!
Why do I think racism is wrong? You're assuming I think you're no. I'm kidding. Well, I think in general people don't like to be separated. When you play on a softball team, you're gathering everybody around. They're picking people. Nobody likes to be picked last, for example. Nobody likes to be left out. I'm sure there are races that do, for example, they have maybe certain skills that they've focused on more than other cultures, whether it's cooking, whether it's fishing, whether it's, I'm sure that exists. I couldn't point to anything in particular, but I'm sure there's that. Sure it is, yeah.
Why?
Because I think by nature, people are born into certain cultures and that's all they know and they embrace it. They feel comfortable with it. I think it's human nature to be attracted to and embrace, again, the culture that you grew up in. Before there were planes, trains, and automobiles, we were separatists. I mean, by nature, and you see this in the animal kingdom, you see this in the human race. But we've evolved, and now it's easier to communicate, and I think we're still developing that skill, that new way of living, of everyone being closer connected. So I think in many ways that's a good thing, because we can learn a lot from each other in that respect. Learning is just a great thing. And whether it's learning about another culture, whether it's learning about, like, for example, the animal kingdom, things like that. Some people find that interesting and they do it. Some people have zero interest in doing something like that. So, but should they? I think they should give it a chance, and then if they're like, yeah, this isn't for me to learn about what Cubans, my family's from Cuba, what Cubans do or what they cook and how they live. Some people just might look into it and go, I'm not really that interested in learning more. You know?
So do you think that people in this country try to make an effort to explore the cultural differences of people around them?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I know of people that, you know, in my circle that have traveled the world and they have great stories to tell. Yeah, I don't know how to really answer that question.
Okay. Did I already ask you the stereotyping question? Is stereotyping a certain group of people wrong?
Can you say the first part of that? I didn't get the.
Is stereotyping a certain group of people wrong?
Yeah, I think generally speaking. But if I go to, for example, a comedy show and somebody's being very funny and they're using like stereotypes, I think that's okay to a certain extent, as long as nobody's getting hurt. I think I've always felt that there needs to be a relaxation of the hypersensitivity that we see today. And that's just in my opinion, because I think people just need to accept that as long as somebody isn't physically getting hurt, and as long as you're not being intentionally malicious and trying to hurt somebody's feelings, but in the context of, like I was saying, if you're going to a comedy show and somebody starts talking about, you know, what do you call 4 Cubans in quicksand, Cuatro Cinco, that was a joke.
Hushang.
Is racism wrong?
Because it's not equal and fair and wrong. That's
Are certain races better at doing certain things?
yeah, actually they are.
Why?
Because that's the way God made them.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. That's
Why?
because that's
Do people
It's his mom's turn.
Yes, I believe stereotyping is racism, and you should just deal with people based on how they interact with you and how they treat other people. Yes, I think that God has blessed families with certain traditions and certain ways that they do things, and I think that it's interesting to learn from other people.
Do people in America try to make an effort to explore the different cultures of people around them?
I believe some do and some don't, and that's why we have racism.
Thank you.